We're talking about feeling intimidated in your panel earlier, Nile, and that nobody makes you feel intimidated. And whilst I don't feel intimidated right now, I do have a rather lot of butterflies floating around.
You're overdoing it.
Not actually, but I think the butterflies are. So anyway, welcome back to Ibiza. It's a year since you were last here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been amazing. A lot of things that I couldn't talk about last year, chiefly Daft Punk. It's now out and it's happening, and I couldn't be more thrilled for the guys.
Yeah, that's been quite a little, work of magic.
Yeah, to say the least. When they first embarked upon this project, I thought it was highly ambitious. When you imagine you have two guys who have been incredibly successful, sitting by themselves in a room, making music and changing the world, and then now they say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the studio with other people and depend on them to see our vision and help it come together. And I don't think it could have worked out any better. I mean, it's just absolutely perfect. I'm thrilled. You can tell a year ago I was excited, but I couldn't say anything because the one thing I've learned when it comes to making music, that feeling that you get in that room when you achieve that thing, it never guarantees that you're going to have a hit record, but it does guarantee that you're going to have wonderful feelings with those people for the rest of your life. And hopefully that feeling can transmit itself to other people. And I think that this project has done that.
Well, it's definitely transmitted you back to us a year later. I mean, was it just a given when Pete and the founders asked you to come back again? There was like a very simple yes?
Well, yeah, because after last year, they knew that it was an unfinished story, especially Pete, because he was one of the few people who was able to get an early interview with Daft Punk. So he was aware that there was an unfinished story and that I couldn't tell that story last year. So there had to be a part two.
And so, the part two, IMS this year, are you enjoying it as much as what you did last year?
I think I'm actually having more fun this year because one, I don't have to keep any secrets, which is a hell of a load off my mind. And two, because I got to write the theme song, which was cool. That was fun. And what was great about it was the fact that I could be so honest and say I had no idea what the hell I was doing. It was just, it's a peek into the wacky brain of me as a composer. And I have no problems admitting that the beginning of the song is not as cool as the end, and that's how my process works. And by the time I got to the end, I was like, that's what the record should be. And people walked out of the room whistling my little hook.
And working with Eats Everything, I mean, had you met him before? Had you heard his music before? Or suddenly it was, the boys said, right, Eats Everything's going to remix it, just make sure he gets your stuff?
Well, of course, I've heard his stuff before, but we hadn't met. And what was really interesting, see, he doesn't know this, so now I'm going to tell the truth. So what happened was, I thought we were a straight collaboration. So when they were telling me that I was to compose it and he was going to remix it, that didn't sink in. I thought that I was just going to start working like I've been working with Avicii and that we were going to totally collaborate. We were going to write from the ground up. So I only gave him certain parts because I didn't want to overly influence him. So what I did was I went back to some of his work that I love and I said, all right, well, let me start with this. I'm going to make it 128 beats per minute. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to jam on this and I'm going to just dump it in his lap and see what he does. So he then rang me back and says, I love this, but can you sing it flat? And I'm like, well, what do you mean sing it flat? No, I put it in tune for a reason. But he meant do this sort of monotonic thing. And it's created a really cool relationship between the two of us because I would have never thought that he and I would work together. But now we love each other and it's cool. And I could imagine that we could do something really interesting. We already said we are.
What did you think of the remix?
I thought the remix was amazing, especially because of the fact that I didn't look at it as a remix. I'm looking at it as a composition. Sure. So I even said to him that when he sent that to me, I said, now I'm pissed because I wish I could go into the studio now and add to this, but we literally did this in a matter of days. I was on tour and I couldn't get back into the studio, but I told him that I was inspired by his melody at the end, and it's unfair that I can't now, add to it. So I got to just go accept that that's what it is. So.
Well, as you said, there's room to keep developing and making music together. So maybe you'll, make a remix of the remix or a composition of the remix.
You just sounded like you were eavesdropping on our conversation, because that's what we were saying. We were walking down the path going, right, it'll be the remix of 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 the
and remix. Then we'll do a composition.
All right.
Listen, you just earlier just touched on talking about the collaborations with Avicii and Guetta, Disclosure. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your relationship with Tim, with Avicii, because you were really like, your face lit up when you were talking about him. How did that come about? And I also want to know a little bit about how the album came together, because he got a little bit of flack at one of
the album. So our work has not come out yet. The stuff that I'm doing with Tim has not surfaced yet, so no one's heard it.
Okay.
So just to be clear on that, we're working now. We're doing stuff. It's like with Daft Punk. We're doing stuff now for the future. And the reason why you saw my face light up is because as a songwriting partner, I don't think I've had this much fun in a long time. Now, believe me, I'm not dissing any of the other people that I work with, because we've all had fun. If I don't get that smile and that look when I'm jamming, it's not working. Yeah. But the thing that's really interesting about working with Tim is that I'm naturally complicated when it comes to composition. And then I do these crazy things and then I have to take it apart. By working with him, he's naturally melodic. So if I throw something at him that's really complicated, he can put a melody on top of it, and I go, wait a minute. Yeah, and it's funny because I consider myself a pretty good melody writer. And the fact is we almost have a joke between us. We don't say it, but it's almost like, I'll see you that melody and raise you another melody. And we keep going back and forth. It's like if you see the emails between us, we wake up in the morning and go, man, that sounds amazing, but listen to this. Wow, that sounds amazing, but listen to this. So I think he's a terrific composer. We're working unbelievably well together, and it couldn't be more natural. And if you were able to see a picture of the two of us in a room together, it's almost hysterical, because the look of concentration on his face and the look of concentration on my face, and the amount of time that we spend laughing, it's just like Chic. In the old days, people would wonder how Chic ever made any records, because we spent most of the time laughing and joking. Between Avicii and me, it's the same thing. We spend so much time laughing and joking, but we're very focused on the product. And to show you how everything just sort of happens at the right place at the right time in the right artistic arc. As I was leaving my last panel, Nikki was coming in, who works with Guetta, and said, "Nile, has David sent you the current version of the song?" Because we did a song together that was just, to me, was killer. And when I first played it, David went, "No, that's amazing, but it's so underground." And I looked at him and went, "Underground? You kidding me, David? This is commercial." And we were laughing, and he was saying it's underground, and everybody else was going, "No, this is commercial." And now they're all thrilled going, "It's commercial." And I'm thinking, of course it's commercial. I said that the first day. So we're actually, it's just, we're really all in an interesting place. And this is why I got into dance music in the first place, because it allows us all to be together, and regardless of whatever discipline you happen to be in. I came from the jazz R&B world, and the disco movement accepted me with open arms, because I wrote music that made people dance. And now,
what was your quote today? Was it we make music to move your soul, I loved
move
it.
Your soul, move your feet,
move your butt.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I just sort of thought of that on the spot, but that's the truth. That's what my job is that if you make music that doesn't move your soul, but it just moves your feet, moves your butt, that's cool. But when it does all three, then it's like
you're in trouble.
Then it's like Get Lucky, or it's like, Freak Out, or We Are Family, or Let's Dance, or Like a Virgin, or whatever,
etc., 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 etc. Well, maybe now that you've started talking about Avicii and what you guys are working on, maybe that could be part 2 for next IMS. Should we get you and Avicii in a room?
Yeah, that's I'm I might even play with him here. I'm not sure. What's great about our relationship is that it feels like a very natural artistic relationship. When I first met Madonna, what was cool about that relationship is that it felt so completely natural. The first time we met, first time Avicii and I looked at each other, I was standing backstage at Radio City. He was doing a gig in New York, and I had arrived before he arrived. So I started to hang out with his audience just to get a feel, like, if these people like you and I like them, I have a feeling that I'm gonna like you. So I'm hanging out with his fans. And I hadn't met him at all. So I'm hanging out with his fans, and I go, these fans are cool. And then he walks backstage, and he didn't even recognize me right away. And then somebody said, oh, that's Nile Rodgers. And he went, whoa, Nile Rodgers. I went, hey, man, what's happening? And ever since that moment, we've been sort of making music together.
Amazing. Well, I know that you're going to be around on the island quite, on and off over the summer, yeah? You're going to be coming and going, and you're doing Ibiza Rocks, you're doing a couple of other gigs. So we're going to look forward to seeing you there. And so happy that you're back on our island. And thank you for talking to us.
And I'm thrilled to be back. Like last year was great. I started here, and then we did the 1, 2, 3 festival, which was, it was so much fun playing. And then, like you said, now I'm coming back for Ibiza Rocks. So, maybe I'll get a crib here.
We welcome you with open arms.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Have a great summer. Enjoy the rest of the IMS. And we'll catch up with you again soon, I hope.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Niall.
Pleasure.